Good evening everybody, Flak is back. In last video we did 500 IQ plays you probably didn't know about, and I thought today we have to one up, so let's do 600 IQ plays you probably didn't know about. And in today's video, a foolproof method on how to prevent people from twigging up to your base. That's right, no more easy climbing onto your roof, no more getting into your compound. It's over, we've got the solution. Other than that, I teach you how to make an exploding tree. And finally, a couple of unconventional methods on how to hide away your loot. Spoiler alert, it's pretty corny. But before any of that, I've got the greatest news whatsoever. I have started my own podcast. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, my first guest for the Mr. Flak podcast is none other than one of the world's most famous Rust YouTubers, Blueprint. He's my first guest on the show, and because I love you so much, I'm going to give you a small snippet of what that podcast was like. Okay, final question, Blue, and I've got to ask this because this is like the most, I really hope you got something good for me. What is the most embarrassing thing that has ever happened to you in your life?
Oh, no. You know what is actually the most embarrassing thing?
Oh, God. Okay, yeah.
It's still related to the channel,
okay.
But you know the days with Rice Gum and, you know, the diss tracks and all of that? You remember those days? Yeah, I thought that was the shit at the time. So I decided...
Unfortunately, that's it for the preview. If you want to watch this podcast, I'm releasing it within 24 hours on my second channel, the Extra Flak channel. It has about 800 subscribers and no videos. I'm going to upload it to this channel though, within the next 24 hours, so be sure to subscribe so you can find out how short Blueprint's rap career was. Best of all, the Mr. Flak podcast is going to have no adverts and no sponsored slots, which is very much unlike today's video, which actually does have a sponsor. And this video is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. Okay, I want you to picture something here. You're chilling in your house, you got nothing to do, you decide you're going to play some video games. However, there is a bad guy outside and he's wanting to come inside using a rocket launcher. With mere seconds left to live, you close your eyes and you fire up your favorite PC or mobile game, Raid Shadow Legends. And even though there's many different game types to choose from, none is more fitting now than Doom Tower. A massive towering prison filled with the scariest creatures you can imagine. Your ex-girlfriend. JK, it's filled with terrifying monsters and gigantic bosses, and I'm talking big, bad bosses. If your bosses had a boss, they'd be living inside Doom Tower, a massive multi-level prison facility filled with bad bosses, secret rooms and challenges, and of course tons of juicy loot. Assembling a squad of the finest champions alone is not enough. You need to fine-tune their skills, perfect their weaponry, customize their armor, and throw together the best squad you can in order to exploit the weaknesses of the bosses to overcome the challenges. It starts off fairly simple, but as you defeat bosses and you start climbing the tower, it gets increasingly difficult. And you certainly do not want to know what's waiting for you at the top of the tower. Spoiler alert, it's going to hurt you. There's never been a better time to get started in Raid. If you click on my link in the video description below or you scan my QR code, you'll get this massive bonus pack worth $30. I'm talking about a free epic champion, Vergis, 200,000 silver, 1 energy refill, 1 XP booster, as well as an ancient shard so you can summon your own awesome champion in-game. You can claim your $30 bonus pack right over here. It is available for the next 30 days and only available to new players. Thank you to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to my video. Okay, show of hands, who watching this video still after the 3 minutes introduction has seen deployables like these placed on random locations on the map or outside people's bases? Yes, a couple of you? Yes? Well, it's not uncommon. There's planter boxes and concrete slabs littered across the map. However, did you know that you can hide your loot inside these items? My friend Twisted, who used to be a massive Rust YouTuber back in the day, then stopped. He's since started uploading Rust YouTube content again, and I wanted to shed some light on his genius. I'm going to link these methods of his videos in the video description below. Be sure to give him a sub, he's an absolute darling of a human being. But check out his methods. These are stashes, we know how they work. We know that they're completely hidden away from real manly men players, and people with tiny genitals obviously use ESP and they can see them. However, if you are a real man, check this out. Did you know that you can place deployables directly over stashes? So yeah, I'm placing a sandbag. I'm doing it on an angled slope of the beach so that you can see underneath just how well hidden it is. If you put this on flat land or you put this in the grass, there is literally no way to see it, and there's no reason for you to interact with the sandbag because people just don't do that. You can fully access your stash through the sandbag, and it is a great way to hide some backup loot. Same thing goes with most other deployables, like for example the second stash over here. I'm going to place a planter box. And people don't tend to go near planter boxes unless there's vegetables growing, so keep them empty and keep that stash hidden away. And third and final method I'm going to show you guys is the sofa. Most of us do have the sofa, some of us don't. I'm going to place it on the edge here. You can see I can sit down comfortably. But if I want to access the stash, all I have to do is just look around carefully, more or less where the stash is. There we go. I can access the stash and I can use it as a perfect hiding spot. You can't see underneath here because of the angled slope, but on a flat grassy surface you cannot see it. And because there's literally hundreds of different deployables, I'll leave you to figure out which of them work with the stash. There are many of them. And I know there's going to be people watching now commenting going, Mr. Flak, people can use ESP and they can see your stash. Yes, I do know that, but if we keep on playing with the logic of some people use ESP, it's the same as not going out your base because some people use aimbot. Unfortunately, there's always going to be cheaters with very tiny genitals. There is nothing we can do about it. So all we can do as honest gamers is take our fat, massive hogs and hide away some sexy loot. Okay, next scenario. You're out collecting scrap, you find these little deployable electrics or deployable irrigation. You find them littered across the map, and unfortunately most people don't use electricity. They end up recycling it, they throw it in a box. Ooh, is this the new lighting? Okay, I saw them tweeting about this. I saw Facepunch tweeting about it. They've added new lighting to the monuments. This is nuts. Oh, it's spooky as shit. Oh wow. Can you? Okay, so can you imagine hiding in the corners with a pipey or a shotgun in this bad boy? Oh, I don't know if I like that, but damn. Anyway, you're out doing your scrap runs, you're opening barrels, you're finding crates, you find tons of these little deployables. Here's another one over here. And what do you end up doing with them? Ooh, light's different here too. Well, instead of recycling them or throwing them in a box, I want you to consider this. Now we know how twigging up works. If you want to get on someone's roof or you want to get in someone's compound, you can twig in different ways so that you can find a nice high spot and hopefully boost up onto a base. This is rather annoying and you cannot stop it because you don't need building privilege to twig up. We get some authorization quick. All those little components that you found are going to find a new home now. We're going to place them on the top where the twig connects to the roof and place down as many as we can find. Whatever you have, just pop it on there. Make sure it's nice and high right on the seam. And you'll notice you cannot place anything on here. You can place it here, but not over here. Yes, comment warriors are probably going to say, yes, you can just break those items. And yes, you can in theory. Two full clips to break one item that you find everywhere on the map, it is kind of not worth it. Most raiders or griefers take the path of least resistance, and if they find 20 deployables placed on that, they're just rather going to raid your neighbor instead, which is perfect. And yes, you can use a sword or a tool to break those things. They break a lot quicker than gunfire. However, consider the fact that the reason why you're twigging up is because you actually cannot reach that. So even if you do have a tool, standing at the bottom and jumping to hit something is just not going to be worth it. It's going to take way too long. And if you consider how many of these deployable items that you actually find... No. Stop. Littered around the map, you could very quickly line the entire top of your base with these things, preventing people from twigging up and generally being safer. But there are other benefits to this method as well. How many of you people have boxes that look like this? Filled with a bunch of garbage, a lot of deployables. Unfortunately, the deployables don't stack, so they are annoying as heck. Most people end up despawning or recycling them. But now you can just clear them out of your box, stick them to the top of your base, then you free up the boxes so you have a bunch of extra space. And best of all, if you do end up needing one of those components, all you have to simply do is go to it, pick it up, and then you can use it. So you are storing it just against the wall, you're not getting boxes filled with unnecessary items, and you prevent people from twigging up to your roof. So it's like a triple win. How cool is that? Thank you, Twisted, for this very sexy method. I appreciate you, brother. And finally, this is the new landmines. You guys remember the old landmines? These are the new ones. They're very small, like very small compared to the older ones. The yellow color tends to blend a lot better into the grass. And if you place them inside grass that have patches of flowers, they are virtually invisible. Look at that. That's impressive. But these newer, smaller, rounder landmines have a much cooler feature. On every coastline, they are absolutely littered with rocks. You can place them inside rocks. Now, of course, you have to find an appropriate sized rock, but once you do find them, you can put them inside the rocks and hopefully lure people towards it. I can imagine putting down some boxes, a furnace, putting some locks on them, getting that temptation going, making people want to go there. And of course, let me just activate God mode quickly. I don't want to respawn. Once you activate your God mode, you run over to your box because you're tempted as heck, and then boom, you pay for your greediness. And because mines are so incredibly cheap at just 50 metal frags and 30 gunpowder, it is a no-brainer you'd want to litter every single piece of rock you can find with as many mines as possible. But like in the intro, we have the exploding tree. Look for a tree with a nice wide base. Place your mine inside the base of the tree. Make sure it's very hidden. Ooh, that'll work nicely. And simulate a farming session. So if you set up base near a forest, set up as many mines as you can and just wait for the explosions and go collect your free loot. The new mines also fit inside the deployable ore, so if you find ore laying around and you live nearby, pop in a mine. I don't know about you, but when I'm running around, I absolutely cannot resist picking up every single piece of ore I can find. And if you're collecting ore, you don't stop and collect ore. Whilst you're running, you look down at it, you jab E, and you end up running directly over it. Pop it in a bush near a horse. Feeling hungry? Pop one inside a pumpkin. Probably the best place to put it would be in the forest, like in the dense forest, because they have like all those berry bushes and they've got all the ore and they've got mushrooms and they've got little bushes. Place them there because the ground is already so detailed you could barely see a thing, but now with a new mine you could just literally litter the entire area with these mines. In the trees, in the bushes, everywhere you want, and nobody's going to see it, and if you live very close by you can literally farm people all day long. Oh god, that's disgusting. And that pretty much sums it up for today's 600 IQ plays. I do hope you guys learned something. I know last week there were a couple of super tryhards who told me absolutely without a doubt they knew exactly all the tips that I gave them, even though they were ridiculously obscure. But they were like, no, I knew that, I knew everything, you didn't teach me nothing. Oh, get better at Rust. You know, that type of thing. But I hope you did learn something today. Thank you so much for your time. I do appreciate you. If you are keen, sub to that extra Flak channel so you can see me launch my podcast career. And I'll catch you next time. Thank you to my beautiful, darling supporters that you can see on screen right now. These guys have supported me from the get-go and I absolutely adore them. Again, thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. And until next time, Flak out.